And we're live. Okay, so, all right, guys. So, if you ever found yourself overthinking her texts, feeling anxious when she pulls away, or questioning if you're doing too much, well, you're not alone. You're not alone. But the truth is, most men don't know is that there is a fine line between pursuing someone from a genuine desire and chasing them out of insecurity. Hey, Bree. And if you don't know the difference, you could be sabotaging your chances without even realizing it. And so, in today's video, I'll be discussing something I think every man deserves to understand and know, and which is that subtle but powerful difference between chasing a woman from a place of fear or lack versus pursuing someone from a place of true, intentional, and grounded desires. So, whether you found yourself chasing someone who is not choosing you back, or you're just trying to figure out a healthy pursuit and how it looks like, this video is for you. And if you're new here, my name is Mitchell. I'm a relationship coach. And in today's live, you will learn the difference between desire and desperation and how women could tell the difference. So let's talk about our first slide. All right, so first is emotional difference. So let's talk about the emotional difference between chasing versus pursuing. One sec. All right. So chasing often comes from a place of anxiety, fear, or feeling that you're not enough. The feeling of inadequacy. You're usually unsettled and you're trying to fill a void. And when you're chasing the feeling, all this underneath anxiety, fear, and insecurity, it's coming from a place where you feeling you're not enough unless you get their attention or approval. That usually drives them to try to work harder or feeling a little bit desperate. Versus pursuing someone, on the other hand, comes from a place of desire, place of excitement, and a place of confidence. You're more calm, you're more grounded, and you're genuinely interested. You're not desperate at all. And so pursuing someone, or pursuing, comes from a place of genuine desire and confidence, where you're excited about that person, but you're also grounded in your own self-worth, and you feel calm. Hello. You feel calm. And so you want a connection, but you're not depending on it to prove your value. And so you allow them to see your worth. So what does chasing out of insecurity feel like versus pursuing someone out of desire? Anxiety, scarcity type of mindset. You're constantly overthinking. Versus curiosity, openness. You're calm and you're confident. That's the difference. So it's the type of energy that you put out. It's how you act, your demeanor, your words. And you have to understand that human beings are very, very good detectors. They're very good lie detectors. And so when they sense someone's kind of nervous, they're scared, they're fearful, they're over speaking, and they're fidgeting, the type of movement, they tend to kind of step away. And more often than not, you're going to repel a lot of those people away from you. So you have to understand that attraction isn't forced. When you're attracting someone, you're allowing them to accept who you are. And so I want to talk about the behavioral patterns. Okay, so what kind of patterns? So what does chasing actually look like in your behavior? It's things like over texting and constantly initiating, ignoring your own boundaries, and or obsessing over their type of responses. So if you found yourself kind of like over analyzing, and you don't know what to say, and you're always constantly like deleting what you have to say and rewriting, it's like, well, maybe chances are you're coming from a place where you feel like you're lacking something, and I need this perfect response. And you would definitely feel the difference. So then now a healthy pursuit means matching energies, where you're respecting your limits and showing interest without losing yourself. where you're not putting someone on a pedestal, so to speak. So you get a clearer understanding. And so this is why you should always match and mirror her level of interest. And you have to understand that women that are interested in you will give you her time. And if no one's willing or none of the women you're talking to is willing to invest her time into you, she's not gonna be as interested. So that's something that you have to understand. She has to invest her time into you in order for her to want you more. So always match and mirror her interest level. Showing interest from a woman means bottom lining her actions. A lot of women say that they will do something, but if her actions are, say for example, flaky, or she's canceling dates without mentioning any type of rescheduling, then the best thing that you can do is what my coach calls the takeaway. Coach Corey Wayne, shout out to you. It's called a takeaway by saying something like, well, it sounds like you're unsure of your schedule. Why don't you just get in touch with me when you figure out your schedule? We could plan something then or plan something later. And so what that means for a guy is after you say that, you don't start calling or texting if you haven't heard from her in a few days or a few weeks or a few months. Okay, you never contact her again. If you told her to get in touch with you when her schedule frees up. And the reason why you don't want to text afterwards after you say that is because it's a congruency test. You will lose that congruency test, and she will be like, well, that's a man that can't keep his own words. So what does it mean for her? It means that, well, he lacks emotional self-control. It means that he wants her more than she wants him. And it's always better if she wants a man more versus a man wanting a woman more. Okay, so now the reason for this takeaway and the reason why you're implementing this takeaway is if you suspect someone who is wasting your time or they're really not that into you, you're trying to make it easy for them to flake out of your life and disappear forever. You're trying to make it easy for them. Or to follow through with their plans and their commitments. And this is a direct quote from Coach Corey Wayne, so shout out to him again. So basically, it's to check him. It's to check them, and it makes them become more respectful, to appreciate your time and not to jerk you around. Basically, you're not just someone, you're not someone's last choice, in other words. So, and the reason why you want to make it easier for them is because if you think about it in this perspective, love is allowing. You're allowing them to come and go as they please without force. And women love at their own pace. So men and women, they love at different paces. Men, they can fall in love very easily. Why? Because most men use their eyes. Women, on the other hand, they need more words, more time, more commitment. And so that's why setting dates, going to different dates, going to different places, like those are very important things for a woman, especially the dating and courting phase. And now men who don't know any better thinks that they have to do more, like, oh, I have to do more in order for her to not lose him in her mind. And that's the wrong approach. It sounds counterintuitive. It sounds like the right thing to do, especially if you've been watching a lot of movies where the guy always constantly chased the girl. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Basically, most women that you continually talk to who lacks interest in you, but yet you're constantly pursuing her, you're going to find yourself single most of the time. Okay? And it's unattractive. It's unattractive behavior. So now let's talk about the root causes, all right? The root causes. Why do we chase? And it's usually because of a deeper root, like some sort of insecurity that you have, or a fear of rejection, or some sort of past hurts and pains. It could be from old patterns from your childhood or your relationships where you felt kind of unseen or unworthy. It could be that the fear of rejection or the abandonment that you had from past relationships that you had from, other partners. Or maybe it's from when you were a kid where love felt conditional and it's hard to get love. And it it could also be patterns that you learn from previous relationship, maybe relationships that you've seen as a kid where you didn't feel seen or valued. And when these old wounds or pains are not healed or you don't acknowledge them, they trigger this type of urge to chase because deep down you're trying to fill a need or a void for safety and acceptance. And you feel like, well, this is what most guys would do, where you feel like, well, if I don't lock this woman down as soon as possible, she might realize that I'm not really who I present myself to be, and she might find somebody else. Now, counterintuitively, this is why you share who you are as a person. You share who you are, and those who are willing to accept you will allow it into their life. So there's that cliche where they said, just be yourself. Just be yourself. Now, that's a cliche for a reason, but it doesn't mean you don't do anything about yourself. Who you are needs to be a person that you work on, whether it's physically, mentally, right, spiritually, anything that you need to work on yourself, you have to work on it. Especially if you're the guy in a relationship and you're the masculine figure, you have to be that person that works on yourself. So if you don't put in the work for yourself, there's not a lot that you could give out because you can't give what you don't have. And this is why I love the quote by Dale Carnegie, which says, inaction breeds fear and doubt. Taking action breeds confidence and courage. So by taking more action, taking more steps, moving towards that one direction, you allow yourself to become a better person every single day. And so if you wake up and you take care of yourself, you eat well, you exercise, you do weight training, you do cardiovascular training, good for your health, and you take care of your body, you're showing not just yourself, but to the world that you're a healthy candidate and you do take care, you take yourself serious. And so by taking action, understanding the root causes and becoming better every single day, you build this level of confidence that most women say that is most attractive, which is your confidence. The number one most attractive thing to a woman is confidence. And so by understanding these type of roots, it helps you stop this cycle instead of repeating the cycle. And where does insecure chasing usually come from? Like I said, fear of abandonment, low self-worth, unmet childhood needs versus pursuing, which is a healthier attraction, and you're looking for a more genuine connection. All right. Now, last, I would like to talk about how to shift into a healthy pursuit. So how do you do it? How do you shift from chasing into a healthy pursuit? Well, number one is you start by tuning into your own feelings. And are you coming from a place of desire or fear? So in other words, you could look at it from, are you coming from a place of strength or are you coming from a place of weakness? Because like I said, people are very good detectors and they can sense your energy, especially if you're not used to it and you're always constantly projecting yourself like, oh, I like her, I think we had a good date, so she definitely would say yes. And it's like, well, just because you had a great date doesn't mean that she felt like she had a good date. And so you're judging her based off her actions. And so now, self-awareness. Okay, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to pause and check in with yourself before reaching out or making a move. Ask, well, am I sending this text or am I calling this person because I'm genuinely curious about how she is? Or is it because you need to know where you stand with her? Like, I need to know, because a lot of people, or a lot of guys especially, they like to send messages or call her, blow up her phone, whether it's text or call her. And most of the time they're doing it so that they know where she stands with him, and that is coming from a place of weakness. It is coming from a place of fear versus desire. Coming from a place of desire is more like, well, I really, I would love to take her out. I'd love to get to know her a little bit more, but hey, I just want to see if she's interested. And if she's not interested, then that's okay. You know what? You have to understand that you're not for everybody. And so you move along, and that's it. So be honest with yourself. And number two is you want to set clear, healthy boundaries for yourself and pace your actions to match how she responds. So don't push yourself to keep going if her energy is not reciprocated or if it's not mutual. You want to pace yourself you want to pace your efforts. You want to pace your efforts to reflect how they are showing up or how she's showing up. And you want to bottom line her actions. And most men do what my coach calls the illusion of action. The illusion of action is like, well, I feel like I have to do something. I have to call her. I have to text her, right? To get her attention back to focus back on him. And it's like, no, you don't need to do that. She got that one text message or she got that call, it led straight to voicemail. She got your message. Okay. Now, by setting boundaries, you're showing that you're not putting her on a pedestal. You respect yourself to walk away if the energy that you're putting out for her is not reciprocated to you too as well. So you're saying, hey, my time is valuable. If you don't want to spend time with me, that's okay. Another person will. And you have to understand that you can't ever have a healthy relationship without having a healthy relationship with yourself. And so what I would recommend is you want to focus on your self-worth first. And remember, mutual interest for the both of you is the goal. Practical steps to move from a place of being anxious chasing to being more grounded and desired is number one is you want self-awareness. Where am I at? Where is this text message? Where is this phone call that I'm about to make coming from a place of? Is it coming from a place of strength? Is it coming from a place of fear? And you want communication. You want to set and enforce healthy boundaries, especially for yourself. Boundaries is also self-validation. Okay? Slowing down. You want to slow things down. Staying aligned with your goals and values. And so you have to understand that everybody here, especially if you're watching this, everybody has a choice to either become better or become bitter. And most people opt for the choice of least resistance, which is to become bitter. It doesn't cost you anything to be bitter. It doesn't cost you anything to not want to get up in the morning and take care of yourself and take care of your body. It doesn't cost you anything. All you have to do is do nothing and not want anything better for yourself. Or you could become better, which takes a little bit more time. It takes a lot more consistency. But every time you do it, you become better every single day. So the good news is you can shift out from chasing and into a more healthier pursuit. Then what you could do is set clear boundaries. Don't push yourself to keep going if the energy is not mutual or if it's not being reciprocated. And you want to pace your efforts to reflect how they are showing up. And then finally, you want to build your self-worth. Okay? You want to constantly work on yourself so you aren't dependent on external validation. Pursue from a place of choice, not from a place of neediness. And remember, a healthy relationship is about mutual interest, respect, and balance. So, thank you guys. That is the end of the show. If you guys did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys on the next live. All right? Peace.